Hey everybody, this is Dax. Glad to have you aboard again. My news feed on my Apple iPhone will not shut up about the Crooks. You know, the Crooks. They're having debates about what they're going to do to you and me. How much money they're going to take. How much more they're going to take over health care. I mean, I'm not watching them. I just get a synopsis every once in a while. Like, I can't watch that. I mean, if I tried watching these crooks talk about what they're going to do to me and you, I mean, I'd probably have to go grab one of those things that Beta Male Beto wants to take away from you and me. I mean, the crooks who are Democrats, Chads, are so much worse than the crooks who are Republicans, the Chars, the Chads and the Chars. Let's just call them crooks, though. Because that's what they are. I mean, some of these people have never even had a real job in their life. Bernie Sanders never had a real job. Never had to work at a fast food restaurant like I did, or haul steel like I did, or have 3 jobs while I went through college, or work in newspapers for 13 years like I did, or whatever. I mean, he's just never had a job. This guy's up there trying to tell us what we got to do with our lives. And how they're going to take over our health care, as if we're not adults, as if we can't handle our own health care. Yes, we can. Thank you. Go away. Crawl into the hole you came from. Anyway, so these crooks are up there evidently, I don't know how many they've had, 3, 4, 5, 6 debates, whatever. Call them debates. They're not debates. They're just them up there trying to get the most amount of the lowlifes in this country to vote for them so that they can take over this country and turn it into a semi-socialist, socialist, or communist country. That's what they want. They want power. Because that's what all politicians want. I mean, even the good Republicans, semi-good Republicans, whatever you want to call them. I mean, that's what they want. They want to take over this country, and they want to have the power. So anyway, so what I did was I downloaded a top 10 list of what they've been talking about. And I'm not going to really go into what they said because I really don't know. I mean, I don't know explicitly what they said, but I know what they say. I've gotten synopses on what they say. But I'm going to go through each one of these, and I'm going to say what they should have said to get my vote so that we can be free, have our individual rights. So healthcare was the top one. They've spent an enormous amount of time talking about healthcare. Okay, politicians are not supposed to be in the marketplace. They're not supposed to tell us what medicine we can or cannot take, or even what drugs we can or cannot take. It's our lives, it's our bodies. And they're talking about healthcare, talking about what doctors got to do, what they can't do, what we can do, what we can't do, pharmaceuticals, whatever. I mean, that's capitalism. It's supposed to be freedom. It's supposed to be a free marketplace. And they're talking about healthcare. You got nothing to talk about, folks. There's nothing you can talk about. Once you start even bringing it up, I'm grabbing my wallet and I'm grabbing my gun. I'm not going to do anything to them. This is not a threat. I'm just going to try to protect myself. But they're not supposed to be talking about healthcare. It's not even supposed to be a subject, much less the most talked about subject. And I know a couple of them, including Bernie, want to have, as they call it, a single payer. What a nice way to put that, the single payer. That's you and me. Medicare for all. I've already taken care of myself. I don't know about you. I don't need Medicare for all. I don't want it. I especially don't want the government getting involved in it, like they do the post office and the public schools, and we know how those are going. So there shouldn't even be a discussion. They need to get completely out of health care. They've already, because of their involvement, they've already raised our prices 5 to 10 to 15 times what they should be. We no longer have house visits by doctors because they can't afford it. They got to churn out patients in order to make enough money for all of that schooling they got, which they should. They should make money. They should make a lot of money. I mean, doctors, in my book, should make $250,000, $500,000, million, whatever dollars. I mean, they earned it, right? I mean, my God, they got the schooling and we depend on them. I mean, it should be a capitalist thing. You should be able to walk up to a doctor and go, hey, what do you charge for heart surgery? What do you charge to fix my diabetes? What are you going to charge to fix my broken toe? And, all right, the receptionist or the nurse or whatever says, oh, this is our list of what we charge. You know, like a restaurant or an auto repair place. But no, doctors aren't supposed to ask for money, not explicitly. I pay for all my medical stuff with cash. And I got a great concierge doctor. I pay him $1,200 a year. I can go in as many times as I want, but I pay cash. And I walked in, I said, I'm going to pay cash for everything. He goes, great, all right. But that's unusual because the government's been up our butts, been up the medical industry's butts now for 50 years. Anyway, so there should be no discussion about health care. So the next one was immigration. All right, this is one where I don't agree with the Crooks, the Chads. I don't agree with them. But at least they're not off the rails like the Republicans on this. The fact is, every human being on earth has individual rights, and I've got a right to go to any country on earth without them checking me, knowing my name, knowing a number, knowing what I look like, knowing what I want to do, knowing how long I'm going to stay, pleasure, business, whatever. No. Individual rights means I should be able to go anywhere on earth that I want. Got a friend in France? Go. Got a friend in Israel? Go. Got a friend in whatever, Lebanon or Russia or whatever. I should be able to go. And the same thing for people coming into this country. The reason it's a problem, people coming into this country, is because of the whole welfare system setup. They can come into this country, and these crooks can get them to vote for them and get free cash. Now, of course, most immigrants don't do that. That's something that's not said very much. So the ideal on immigration is leave them alone. Let whoever wants to come into this country come into the country. Let them walk right across the damn border, fly right into the airports. Now, that doesn't mean we have to personally accept them onto our properties or employ them. And it does mean that our government should still be watching for people internationally who are dangerous and take them out so that they can't enter our country. But you don't violate the rights of 99.9% of good people just to keep some people out. You just don't do it. So the only discussion on immigration is leave it alone. Don't build walls. Don't build fences. Don't use my money. Don't steal my money to build these damn things. Okay, the next thing talked about is racial equality. That's the third most talked about thing. Racial equality. People are talking about this. Racial equality. What the hell do you talk about? We're all equal as far as rights go. I mean, we're all equal now. Have been for 55 years. Longer, really. But the government has not been, which was the problem. It's always been the government with African Americans, blacks, and with the Chinese and others, and Indians. Sorry, Native Americans. Anyway, so there is no discussion on racial equality. It's a bogus thing for people to get power, to pass laws over us, and to get more power. So there's nothing to talk about. We're equal. I got friends of all races, including my own. And yeah, we're all good. There's nothing going on. The only entity we got to watch out for is these people on the stage. That's the only ones we got to watch out for. And 97.8% or whatever of cops actually do their jobs. You got 2% who are bad, no doubt. Take them out. Take them out of the police force. Whatever. That's the government's job, is to make sure those guys get taken out quickly. But they don't do that. Not like they're supposed to. Should be complete transparency. So yeah, we're all equal. So the fourth one that they talk most about is climate change. Have you noticed any climate change? I sure as hell haven't. It was cold here in Georgia today. I think colder than normal, about 10 degrees colder than normal. There's no climate change. If there is climate change, it's just it's been going on for 5.2 billion years. They don't even know what causes climate change, for sure. Nobody does. This whole 97% of scientists agree that humans are are helping to cause climate change? BS. They don't know. They're guessing. And they don't even know whether CO2 itself actually causes the earth to warm. There are studies out now saying it actually causes the earth to cool. And if you remember, if you've heard about it, for back in the late 60s and early 70s, the scientists and the big newspapers, New York Times, Washington Post, Newsweek, had these giant blaring headlines saying that CO2 was causing the earth to cool. Yeah. So this is nonsense. The climate is nonsense. Government officials are not supposed to talk about the climate, just like all these other ones. They're not supposed to talk about it. It's not their business to talk about it. Their only business is supposed to be to protect us, our individual rights. If it turns out eventually that it can be proved that CO2 is causing mild climate change, well then, we've got a right to take a big industry to court and say you're putting a little bit too much CO2 in the atmosphere and it's causing the temperatures to change at my house. How absurd would that be? That should get thrown out of court. So the whole thing's absurd. It's not a subject. It's a concocted subject by the pestilent, pompous, corpulent SOB, Al Gore and others to make money. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars off this, and for the government to pass laws to run businesses and to make businesses pay them money to put CO2 into the atmosphere. Yeah, it doesn't stop the CO2. It just makes them pay the government to put more CO2. So it doesn't do a damn bit of good. And then they pass all these regulations. The regulations cost you and I money. Anytime they pass exhaust regulations and any of these others, it costs manufacturers a crap ton of money, and they have to pass that on to us. So we end up paying for something that's a non-issue. It's so absurd, and yet this is a daily absurdity by the crooks. The fifth one is foreign policy. Crooks, politicians, crooks have no idea. They're in bed with all the other crooks around the world. They never do what they're supposed to do. I mean, Iran attacks an oil tanker last month, threatens the oil shipping, which we're part of in the Gulf. We do nothing. I mean, Trump beats the drums a little bit and throws his hair back and says, well, we're going to have to think about it. No. I mean, where is all that Twitter bravura by Trump when it comes to something that's an outright danger? But you know what? It should have been done a long time before that. 9/11 should have never happened. It would not have happened if the presidents before George Bush had taken out these regimes. Iran, Pakistan, North Korea, take them out. Not the people, not the good people, not the residents of the country, not the citizens of these, under these regimes. But you take them out to where they can't sponsor terrorism. And frankly, we should have taken out the Saudi Arabian regime too. So all the funds that went to pay for these criminals, these monsters who bombed the towers in the Pentagon and came after us, they never would have existed. That's foreign policy. You go after the bad boys. You put them down. You make it clear around the world, no bad boys get to be in charge of countries. And that is good foreign policy. They'll never talk about it. So that's their fifth most talked about subject. So the sixth one is guns. Democrats, crooks, these crooks always want to take away our guns. And that's because people in power are afraid of an armed citizenry. Our founding fathers knew this. We know that. Unfortunately, other countries, the citizens of other countries have let their governments take their guns away from them. It's not good. And now in Britain, they're taking away knives. You can't have a kitchen knife. I mean, not that you would anyway, but you can't have a knife with you on the street or any sharp object. I guess you can't have a wine opener. I believe that's part of it. You can't have a freaking wine opener with you in Britain, Great Britain, England. That's where this stuff leads to. So I think there was something the other day that said there have been more knife attacks in London than gun deaths in a certain city in the United States. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, that's what happens. All right, so anyway, they talk about electability, trade, economy, criminal justice, some other BS. On the economy, they just need to get out. I mean, now a few of them, Miss Cherokee is threatening Amazon. I'm an investor in Amazon, have been for a good while. Amazon has made me good money. Amazon has shipped me hundreds of packages over the last 22 years. I love Amazon. They're my favorite company in the whole world. Jeff Bezos is a genius. And this low-life freaking Cherokee, wannabe Cherokee, wants to go after my favorite company in the whole world. Well, you know, they've been coming after Microsoft and Google and others for a long time. The European Union they're huge crooks, highway robbers over there. So anyway, the only discussion on the economy that they can legitimately have is we need to get out of the economy. We need to stop messing with capitalism, American businesses. Amazon has all my private information. I trust them. I don't trust the crooks. I don't trust them because they have power. They got the power of the gun of government over me and you. Amazon doesn't. Amazon messes up with my private information, I can shut it down. No more Prime membership, nothing. And they can't do anything. They can't bring a gun to my front door like the government, like these crooks can, these monsters. So this whole discussion about companies getting monopolies or near monopolies or doing things that these crooks don't like, it's BS. It's power plays. It's threats. They should be put in prison for this stuff. All 10 of these low-life crooks on the stage in front of you and me right now should be put in prison right now. Not up there in nice clothes on a clean stage getting softball questions about how they're going to take over our lives. That's the theater of the absurd right there. And yet it happens every day in this country, unfortunately. So anyway, we need to be free. We need our individual rights, like I've said before. The right to your life, your body, your property. And if you own a business, the right to that business and your products and your service. And get the government completely out of our lives. That's what we're shooting for. Okay, take care, my friends. Talk to you soon.